Hey there, this is Megan with Left in Knots, and this is the second part of my corner-to-corner crochet video tutorial. If you missed part 1, you can find it right here on my YouTube channel, or I also have a direct link to the video at my blog www.leftinknots.com. This video series is recorded as a resource for my Fallen Arrows blanket crochet along, which started February 1st of 2017. If you are just finding this project now, have no fear. The pattern will be available for free on my blog indefinitely, and these videos will really be able to help you with anything C2C or corner-to-corner related that you want to make. So let's get started. In part 1, we went over the basics of the C2C stitch. So we started in this corner. We went over how to read a chart, which is how the Fallen Arrows blanket pattern is written. How to crochet increase rows, which are the rows that go back and forth and get bigger each time you go, making that square shape, and how to change color within a row. So once we get to these red squares in this pixel chart, we went over how to change from white to red and then how to change back from red to white again. So if you missed any of that, or if that's what you want to learn, go ahead and pop over to part 1 of this video tutorial. And if you're ready to move on to the next part, in this video, we will cover what I like to call corner-to-corner maintaining rows. And that's what will turn your square corner-to-corner piece into a rectangle. And you can see that I've changed my pixel chart a little bit from last time for this example. And that's because I needed this rectangular shape to show you what I'm teaching you today. So after this is done, I'll just embroider something on the top here. We'll make it look good. So last week we stopped at row 10 where I was just starting to hit the color changes. I was coming back down this way. Again, I'm left-handed, so remember that if you're right-handed. But I was coming back down this way, hit that first row of color changes. Since then, I've crocheted a few more rows, basically up through row 15, and I've just started to come back down this way for row 16. So in my example, and in the Fallen Arrows blanket, odd rows are worked left to right, even rows are worked right to left. So row 16 is coming back down right to left, and I've started this row like I would start any other row of corner-to-corner crochet. I've chained my 5 and done my 3 half double crochets starting in the 3rd chain from the hook. And then I crocheted all of my red squares. And just so that we can go over color change again really fast, I'll pull this out. So again, a color change is going to look like this. I've got my white yarn that I've left from the previous row. Pull it through, tighten it up, and then chain. And now you're going to finish these last stitches of the row. But if I look at row 16, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 white squares left. So what that looks like while you're crocheting you're still working into those chain 2 spaces from the previous row. Three. And now this next square will be square number 4. And that's exactly what we want because we want this side of our piece to start, or basically to stop decreasing so that we can start getting that rectangular shape. So if I flip this way, you can see this row will continue to travel upward for a few more rows, but this is going to make our next corner of the piece. So then to do that, all you need to do is take your hook, go into your next chain 2 space, slip stitch into that space, and don't make a corner to corner square. Instead, you're going to turn your piece, and then you're going to slip stitch into 1, 2, 3 stitches. Basically, the last 3 stitches, the last 3 half double crochets that you just stitched, you're going to slip stitch into the top of them. And that is just going to be a clean way to carry your yarn over to then start coming back on this row. So you can see this has made your first corner, well, I guess your second corner. So now you're ready to start working your next row. Instead of chaining 5 like we've been doing at the start of each row now, you did those 3 slip stitches, and now you're going to chain 2. And again, that's going to prevent you from increasing the stitch count on this side so that we can get those maintaining rows that are the same width for several rows in a row. So that's what your first stitch in that row will look like. So this is where we're at on our chart then. We came all the way back down here for row 16, and now we just started in row 17 coming back up this way. So that's really all you need to know for maintaining rows. On this side of your project, you're going to keep increasing your stitch count, and on this side of your project, you're going to continue basically decreasing your stitch count so that you'll have the same number of stitches across until you reach that next corner. Then once you reach this next corner, you'll decrease on both sides, and that's what will bring you to your final point, and that's what we'll cover in part 3. So I'm going to go ahead and finish stitching through this. You can go ahead and continue on with your Fallen Arrows blanket if that's what you're making. And I will see you next time for part 3, where we will cover making that final corner. Thank you very much. You can find the Fallen Arrows pattern at www.leftandknots.com, along with a lot of other free patterns and tutorials.